What's up? It's Tommy Green. You're listening to the Rev Talks podcast, brought to you by theREVgatherings, digital tribe of up-and-comers, emerging leaders, doing our best to keep in step as the face of the church changes in our generation. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome home. If you are a returning visitor, hiya. Feel free to subscribe, share it around, give us a 5-star review. Tell somebody. If you like what you hear, please let us know. You can reach out to us at theREVgatherings.com. Feel free to email us at theREVgatherings@gmail.com. Hope you enjoy the episode. See you on the other side. What's up, everybody? Just chilling. Waiting for my beloved to come out here. And then my dear friend, our friends and amazing mentors in our life, Dr. Glenn and Phyllis Hill, are coming to chill. Chrissy Green!
Hello!
She's here. She's hanging out.
Hey.
We're doing stuff. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Thank you, everybody. What I was thinking was, let me see if I can get these dudes to jump on. So
They have
hold on
to
one
make
sec.
a request, right?
Yeah. So Dr. Glenn or...
Hey.
Yeah, either way. If you make a request here, let me see this guy.
Oh, you can
Go boom. There you go.
learning all the time.
Yeah, we're just doing it. So in just a second, our amazing friend and just incredible connection coach, relationship doctor, licensed sexologist, amazing human, Dr. Glenn Hill, and his absolutely incredible partner in crime, Phyllis, I think should be jumping on in a moment. But we're just kind of chilling. So anyways, thanks everybody for jumping on. It'll probably be just like under an hour. We're just going to kind of, chat, interview, something like that.
Chat for a bit.
So we're just hanging. Hope you guys are doing good. What's up?
Talk a little bit, because we've worked with Dr. Glenn, and Dr. Glenn probably since, the beginning of 2019? Right? I feel like it was the beginning of 2019. And then more recently, just since Corona Camp, we've been working. We got the honor and pleasure to work with the beautiful Phyllis too.
Oh, yeah. So it's always cool. Dr. Glenn is, he was recommended by some friends of ours that were in ministry. And they, they told me that they started meeting with a dude that was like a marriage and connection coach and then a licensed sexologist. And I didn't even know what that was. I just knew I like making love with Chrissy Green, that's for sure. And we're like down for each other, but we weren't having like marriage problems or something weird. There wasn't like a disconnect, but I just thought, like, what is that? Has that been cool? And we had friends of ours that said, one of them in particular said, it's been incredible. Like, I think in their physical connection, like in their marriage, they had a couple kids, and it was like you could just tell that talking with someone and having an advocate for them in their relationship, like, really was helping to change their life, like, and change their sexual dynamic in their marriage and make stuff awesome. And so I was like, that's really cool. Then a couple months later, I went to another part of the country and talked with another couple that worked with Dr. Glenn and Phyllis. And I was like, how is it? And I was thinking I was going to get like a sexual response, like, like a, ooh, it's hot, or something. But they said it's totally changed the way that we talk with our kids. And so I was like, like my ears sort of perked up a little bit, like, okay, so this isn't just like sex talk. It's not just like all the other stuff, but, so anyway, so he was like, do you want to talk with them? I was like, yes, I'll try like anything once. Sure. Let's do it. So they connected us, and, I think it was like, it felt very much like kindred kind of hearts a little bit. Like, it was very safe and super cool to be able to connect with a couple that's been married for, I want to say like 35 plus years, and are deeply connected, have kids that are grown-ups and grandkids, and they're still hot, man. They still they have like an amazing sexual connection, and they are some of the most non-judgmental people that I think we've ever met, and that feels really, really cool. So in general, anyway, so I'm gonna welcome them on eventually. Here, if we can get this thing, we're waiting on them, but
Oh, they already.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, there it is, dude. It's awesome.
Wait.
Wow, that took us forever to.
Oh, you guys are great.
It's okay. We were just
We were like, I was riffing. That's what I was just riffing, guys. So anyways, so everybody here, welcome to the Dr. Glenn and Phyllis show. And
Oh my goodness.
Okay, first of all, I lost so much identity because you said you were getting on with Phyllis.
well, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
What
Okay.
did you say?
I said it was just Phyllis. I wasn't sure if Dr. I felt like Phyllis is a heavyweight. So even without Dr. Glenn, we'd have been fine. Me and her would have just like, yeah. So, like, whatever. So anyway, so the fact that it's Dr. Glenn and Phyllis is even better. But I just thought me and Phyllis were going to bro down. I didn't even know that it was going to all of us. So anyways, so yeah. So,
I'm
okay,
glad
so
you.
for you guys, if you can, for anybody that knows me but doesn't know you guys, like maybe just a quick background. Who are you? Where are you? And then what is this? Like, what is the connection codes? How did this happen?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I know you were talking a minute ago, trying to figure out how long we've been married. 38 years.
38.
4 kids and grandkids, but had a really rough start. And I think that's kind of what all of this has grown out of, is that we just went into it all wrong. Like, almost amazing that we even went through with the wedding, really. You know, there were things going on at the time that you just think, yeah, you can't don't back out now. Just keep going with this thing. And, you know, went through it all. And, you know, for us, it was like God was a part of it, but yet not. And so it was this total confusion on how to successfully be married. And it was not something that the church talked about and our families didn't talk about. And so it's like right off the bat, we just made so many mistakes and there was so much pain right away. And so then, you know, that took so much recovery. It's like, I feel like we were in recovery for a really long time.
Whoa.
We were determined though. We were those people who were like, you know what, we're going to figure this out. There's got to be joy in marriage. There's got to be happiness and fun. Like, we were like, yeah, there's got to be that. And so we learned a lot, you know, during the whole process, which, you know, the connection codes grew out of that, as far as just the tools that people need to communicate and to get to the heart level in the relationship, so that then you can work on a lot of the other pieces.
Right, but there was so many dark moments. Looking back now, you know, decades later, it's easy for us to talk about it. But when you're in disconnection and pain every day, day after day after day, which becomes weeks and months, and a year and another year and another year. And I remember so many times thinking, whose stupid idea was this marriage thing? I mean, this has to be wretched, evil architect that designed this. And we're faith-based people. We were faith-based then. But whether it's faith-based or evolutionary, we were like, this is the worst idea ever. I mean, all I could figure was that there were no video games back at the beginning of time. You know, God was like, what would be entertaining? Oh, I know. We'll come to this thing, marriage. Because so much pain all the time. And then we got a little bit of help somewhere 10 or so years in, and that's about the same time that all of our friends were divorcing. And so we were fascinated about that, what was happening with them that wasn't happening with us, because we're like, we were maxed out on pain. I mean, you can only experience so much pain. So initially, just out of morbid curiosity, we started asking questions about what happened with you that didn't happen with us. And then that evolved into a quest, and it became a mission, and now it's our passion, because we figured out a few years ago what causes disconnect in relationships, just based on science, based on experience, based on education, academics, et cetera, et cetera. And once we figured out what caused disconnect, Phyllis was the one that goes, wait a minute, if that's what causes disconnection, what if we flip it upside down? Isn't that what would cause connection? And that's what he now call the connection codes. It's about connection in relationships. It's also about coding, because we're actually hardwired this way. Humans are designed to live in connection. We're not supposed to be autonomous. We don't function well that way. We're the least likely species on the planet to survive independently. We're the most likely to thrive interdependently. And so the connection codes are basically a blueprint of how humans connect in relationship, but they're also a set of tools in making happen. And we genuinely believe we have found the cure for relational cancer. It blows my mind. For us, it's so huge because we get to live it. And to be honest, that's plenty for me. Just the fact that, because we know the pain, we know the depth of the, just the despondency. So just the fact that we get to live this, I'm good with that. But we've seen it affect so many other people, and we kind of feel it to be spread. And so, as you know, Chrissy, you and Tommy know, we're on a global quest now. We have to propagate this because it's too good and it's too dang simple. This is what blows our minds. You don't have to go memorize the periodic table. You don't have to go learn Latin to do this. This is just human. And that's part of what lights people up, is that it's just implementable.
Wow.
You don't have to go degree.
I mean, I think, like, out of all the wonderful things, can we say that, about Corona, right, is I think the realization that people are going, like, I need connection.
Yeah.
Right? Even my dysfunctional connection, when I'm like, I would rather have the option to opt out of a party than not allowed to go all the time. Right? Like, I mean, people, but then you go, like, because you said it, we're hardwired for it. So I think that's so interesting, because it's like, it's not rocket science, right? It's just figuring out the coding and then actually training and teaching people how to function within that. And it's like, it's almost like, that's what Tommy and I, when we first, I mean, we started using just the emotions wheel, which you can, you know, just access that exercise right off your website, right? Connection code.
Yeah.
What is it? ConnectionCodes.com? Connection.
DrHill.com.
Dr. Hill. What is it?
Dr. Glenn Hill.
It's drglennhill.com. Two N's.
DrGlennHill.com.
Okay, sorry. We just haven't made the change yet.
Now, that was nice. Maybe you better put that in the comments to get the right.
Oh yeah, we'll post it. It'll be all good.
So, because it's like that emotions. So we started using that within the, you know, the first session with you, and it was like, I think Tommy was really surprised, because we came off of that, like, just using that every day, just trying it out for like a week, and I felt way closer. And we're not like we don't typically feel disconnected quite often. So it's not we're not like, oh man, we have this huge gaping hole to fill.
Right.
But it was amazing how quickly and deeply we felt connected just after a week.
Let me edit that.
Okay.
I am an oversharer, so nothing changed for me. Yeah. I just felt like, oh, I'm just telling you how I'm feeling. Chrissy is the quiet one. So 3 days into sharing, and she's like, I feel so much more connected. And I was like, what? Like, nothing has even changed. What are you talking about? But because, like you said, like, our brains are wired to connect on a deep level, when she realized there was a way to share really quickly what she was feeling, right, wrong, good, bad, it actually really brought us closer. And it blew my mind. I just was like, I was in another room and she said it. Like, I feel way closer to Tommy. We hadn't, like, had hot sex or had some crazy blowout conversation. Right. And I just, like, was like, what? We haven't even done it. It's like 3 days in. How are you closer to me? But because the connection code and the emotion wheel tool, it's so, like, it, like, hot wires that, like, whatever that, you're the doctor. I don't know. It does the thing. And then you're like, yeah, that's safe. That's good. That's great.
But, Tommy, for odd birds like you and me who struggle with too many words, it does the same thing, because it gets it down. Because people like Chrissy and Phyllis spend so much time not knowing at the core. So Glenn talks endlessly, and Phyllis sits there going, I know he just said a lot, but I really don't know what's happening with him. Glenn's going, how could you possibly not know what happened? I just gave you 15,000 words. And she's like, I mean, I did a lot. And Chrissy's grinning. So I'm thinking Chrissy experiences that same thing. And Chrissy adores Tommy. She just doesn't know where he is and what's happening. And Tommy's like, that's not possible. I just vomited on you.
That is not, I just threw up all of the emotion. Pick one.
You have to know what's happening. And Chrissy's like, I really don't. Whereas if you get it down to the core emotion, which is our core, that's our essence, then Chrissy's like, oh, so that's what's happening with you. I got those 6,000 words, but when you gave me the one sentence, it all makes sense now. And that's been, Phyllis used to be exhausted all the time because she heard all this gush of words, but she didn't know what was really happening. Now, literally, I will say to her one sentence, And we're 12 seconds in, and she's like, "Oh, I get it." It's amazing to me. Yeah. Even to this day, Phyllis and I look at each other, and we're just like, "Well, did that just happen? Was that like, that was like a 20-second, dang." And Phyllis is just like, "Whew, oh my gosh, I get it now." Because literally, I'm telling you, I would go on for 45 minutes, and this poor girl would just be lost.
Oh, I know all about it.
And then I would feel so hurt and lost, I just vomited.
You know, we had an incident on the highway where we were driving to get into town. And so we got on the interstate, and Glenn was driving, and he ended up behind one of those big trucks that has like a canvas on top. And I immediately got hit with fear, thinking all this gravel is going to come out of the truck and hit the windshield, which had happened to me previously a couple months ago. But instead of saying, "Oh, babe, I got hit with fear. Could you move? Like, could you get over and pass the truck?" Instead of saying it, I just started saying to him, can you go to the right or to the left? Well, then he immediately feels like I'm attacking him and his driving. Yeah. And then it immediately becomes this tense moment, and he gets around the truck, but then he was like, "What was happening for you?" And then I'm able to go, "Oh, I was just hit with fear because of the gravel," which there was no gravel, but I got hit with fear because of a past experience being behind one of those trucks. And, you know, I think in relationships so often something that small could cause a huge fight.
Yeah, that's the rest of the day. That's a full day now. Like, yeah.
Exactly. And I should have led with my emotion, which was fear, but I didn't, because in that moment I was, you know, my cognition was shut down because I was feeling that intense emotion, but it had to do with the past. It didn't even really have to do with the truck that was in front of us. It had to do with the past. And so then he feels attacked, like I'm, you know, criticizing his driving. So then his emotional part gets stirred up because of that. But thankfully with these tools, we are able to say the words that communicates what's really going on. And once he understood my fear, well, then it's not about his driving. It's about my experience in the past. Yeah. And, you know, the last time my windshield got all the, you know, damage done to it, oh, that made sense to him. And that's what we back to. And I think so often in relationship, it's we get ourselves into a bad place so fast, and we don't have the language, we don't know the tools to say what needs to be said, and so we say the wrong thing, and then this fight occurs. We both feel so hurt. We don't feel regarded, and it wasn't about that. It was that we both got triggered over different things. And that's what I love about having the connection code tools, because in relationships, we're not trying to fight. Whether it's marriage, family, moms, dads, coworkers, we're not trying to live, you know, disconnected. And I think that this year, I mean, just with the coronavirus, you know, the whole quarantine, being forced to be separate and yet still trying to stay in community, it has kind of turned everything pretty much upside down. And so people are really, I think, lonely. There's so much loneliness. There's so much sadness. Chrissy, weren't we talking about that the other day? Just the fear, like, could we just say it? I have fear over getting the coronavirus, or I'm so sad that our holidays, you know, we usually travel, or we didn't get to travel this year. Like, there's just stuff. And yet I think we don't know what to say. We don't know what to process. We don't feel like we have permission with each other. It's almost like we just stay quiet. A lot of us just stay quiet in the pain. Yeah. And it's, you know, and then we go, how do you talk to your kids about all this? Like, how do you get your kids, you know, this whole new world? Like, if they've gone back to school, a lot of them are wearing masks, or they're homeschooling for the first time. They're friends, they're unhappy, but we don't know how to just sit down and talk with each other. And, you know, we've been hearing more and more from families who are using the core emotion wheel just at the dinner table, and hearing their kids express their emotions has been so powerful for the whole family. Wow. And you know, that's what, of course, for us, it's been a crazy year because we've been doing all these webinars with you know, thanks to coronavirus, we've gone into the world of webinars because we were doing workshops, which are harder to do as far as getting people to come and show up at a certain place in a certain city. That limits you, where webinars can tie people together from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we're just able to teach these tools. And what a great season to really get these tools so that, you know, people are communicating better with their children and their own. It's like it starts with you. You got to figure out how to get to the core of your emotion. You've got to get to the core of how to tap into that, how to express the fear, how to express the loneliness, the sadness. And then when you get, you're able to do it with each other, and then your children just benefit from all of that, neighbors and your friends. It's a really cool thing.
And I do want to real quickly that interaction behind the truck on the interstate, we don't time it, but it was under 30 seconds. 25 years ago, that would have been, who knows, a half hour, an hour, like Tommy, like you said, the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That would have been horrific. But nothing's changed as far as the trucks on the interstate. The logistics, what's changed is the fact that we know how to get to the core. And because we do that, I see her as a person. I'm like, oh, she got hit with fear. Oh, okay, I get that. She's not in the connection codes protocol. She's not trying to feel fear. She didn't think this through and go, yep, I'm going to choose fear here. No, fear is literally brain chemistry. Fear fired in her brain, and it affected her. Okay, that's just a human experience. I get that. I can be present with her. So it makes it easy.
I was thinking, just because I know people are jumping on, jumping off, but this is going to be saved. And so if someone is actually like watching this conversation, one of the things I think would be really helpful for people to know, and maybe just a quick like tidbit of some of the stuff that you've learned over the years and kind of how this works is, why is it so hard when people get hit with emotion? Why is the idea of like, shut up and think about it before you share? Why does that not work like we wish it would? Because I think a lot of people feel like Phyllis was saying, if I get scared in the car, I try to come up with the reason why, and I try to get into it, and then it's a big fight. What's better than that, and why? What have you discovered? Can we do that? Can we think before we feel? Like, how does that all work?
Right. Well, that's part of the science behind the connection codes, as far as just the research is, we call them puzzle pieces. When you get down to the bottom and there's nothing underneath that, for example, Tommy, why do you use oxygen? Well, you just do. That's what humans do. Well, yeah, but why did you choose oxygen instead of wood? Why don't you breathe wood? Well, humans don't breathe wood. You know, why don't you use Clorox instead of blood? Well, Tommy didn't vote for that. That's just at the bottom. That's just the way humans are. Again, whether it's faith-based or evolutionary, this is how humans function. So if you look at babies, if you watch babies, they don't think through the emotion and then process it. They process it instantly. You know, we have children, we have 10 grandchildren. If you watch these little kids, you never wonder what's happening with them. But they're not thinking it through. They're not thinking, I probably should let mom know that I'm hungry. It's freaking 3 o'clock in the morning, and they immediately call mom. Yeah. And I'm talking about a 10-month-old, pre-language. This baby is coded. This is the human condition, the human experience. The baby's coded to let the mom know, I have a need. We call it the 3 sentences. I feel blank. I need blank. Will you help me? And babies tend not to ask. They just demand. As adults, we have to ask. So that's just the fundamental human condition. It just doesn't work. Now, scientifically, it's the limbic system. The limbic system is the housing of the emotions, and that processes first. If I hold something up, you know, if I hold up this, you actually feel it, you emotion it before you think it. Now, it's a microsecond, but the limbic system engages before the cortexes. And what we have done culturally is we've tried to switch that and say, oh, no, Chrissy, you need to think through your emotions before you experience them. That can't be done. That is not a human condition. It sounds cool. It sounds something mature.
Yeah, it sounds very like respectful. Like you're in control now.
No. Yeah. And again, that would be the equivalent of me saying, you know, Tommy, I want you to think through each time you inhale or exhale. And I don't want you to just be sitting there and go, oh, I need to inhale now. And oh, now I'm going to exhale. That's exhausting. Are you kidding me? Our science tells us we inhale and exhale about 20 to 22,000 times a day. Tommy's going to be worn out. Are you kidding me? He has to think this through all the time. You can't do it. Well, we've done the same emotion. We've said, every time you get hit with emotion, we want you to think it through when it happens. And that's just, it's inhuman, and it's it's unviable.
I think what I love, the authentic, when you share from the heart, the core of your emotion, like it draws you. Like the incident on the highway with the truck, when I expressed that I was hit with fear, well, then it, like, Glenn understood my fear. Like, it's my fear instead of,
and we're coded that way as humans to experience what the other one is experiencing.
Yeah, instead of, like, it went from him feeling attacked, like I was telling him he was such a bad driver, but then when I expressed it in my fear, then it was like it just, the whole level in the car came down. Like, he then drew to, you know, he even put his hand on me, like, as in, I get it. He wasn't experiencing fear being behind that truck. I was the one experiencing fear. And if I had started off by just saying, ooh, fear, 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 he would have gone, oh, babe, what's the fear? And I just said, well, that truck, I'm afraid of rocks coming out of the back of it. But I didn't, you know, I responded first, not with the emotion, but when I said the emotion, then he totally got it. Yeah.
I think the phrase that stands out to me forever, that we've used a bunch, even with like our family and like our kids and stuff, is like, I think Dr. Glenn, you said, vulnerability and transparency invites care and concern, and then care and concern invites vulnerability and transparency. So I think about like the state of the world even, and how easy it would be for people on the left or the right to say, instead of you're wrong because this reason, this reason, this reason, but just to go, I'm scared of this. And then the other person can go, wow, you really feel fear about that. Well, I feel fear about this. And all of a sudden now, instead of everybody kicking each other in the balls over whatever the politics are, if we begin to share emotion first, is it easier actually for us to fight? Is it better? I mean, what do you think? Can we actually change the world if we do this kind of thing? Or is this, like, I don't think it's going to work, man. It's a really wild time right now. This is high level. This is scary. I mean,
well, it's wild though. I mean, we're being called in on more and more situations by businesses, you know, for conflict resolution, because the problem is people don't feel heard. And now it's even more layered, because you have individuals as well as groups that are like, wait, I haven't felt heard in my whole life. So
generationally, wow.
We're people that you don't feel heard. Well, I mean, that sounds fair. It just doesn't work. So if Tommy's been a jerk to me for 5 years, so now I'm going to be a jerk to Tommy for 5 years so that it'll balance out. I mean, that sounds reasonable. It just doesn't work with humans, because Tommy's not going to tolerate this for the next 5 years. Me being a jerk to him, I'm like, no. He was a jerk to me for 5 years, so I'm allowed to be a jerk. Well, I'm not. I get it. That seems to make sense, but it just doesn't work. Humans can't tolerate that. And if we could hear each other, and this, with one of the Connection Codes protocols is the ooh. If we could learn to ooh each other, so that you know, Tommy can say what's happening with him, and the other, whoever the other is, just tell him to go, oh, dang, wow, okay, so help me get that. What happens for you there? And to understand that my experience is not going to be identical to yours. There are things you experience just like that. We're driving behind a truck. Phyllis gets hit with fear. I don't. Well, she's not right or wrong. It's just what's happening with her. I'm not right or wrong. It's just what's happening with me. And so when we're able to convey that at the core, it changes the whole experience. And again, I can't emphasize that enough, that was probably a 25-second interaction, which to this day blows my mind, because 30 years ago, that was probably a good day and a half, 2 weeks. I don't know.
No, I agree. I feel like one of the things that I picked up in our work together just the first few months was when you say like the ooh, which everyone will learn if they work with you guys, like it's just a tool to actually allow the other person to slow down. And it also is a really easy way to let your partner, your friend, your family, to let them know you heard them. But I just thought if I told Chrissy what was going on with me, that it was like her job to fix it or her job to do something, and vice versa. I felt like I have to be perfect, because if she starts feeling bad, I have to do something about that.
Oh my, you froze.
Share, and I don't have to take that on, but I can actually hold space. I didn't know how to do that in our marriage. And so even just that simple tool of like, oh, I get that, or ooh, I hear that, and not having to take it in. That's a life hack. That's crazy. Like, because I think we all feel so responsible when we feel responsible for one another, but you can't actually take that on. Like, it doesn't actually work. So then we end up like, you know, comfortably distancing, or whatever that is, social distance the wrong way. And like, I don't want to be around you anymore. I don't want to hear. And so I'm almost 40, and I just learned that when Chrissy says she feels a certain way, even if I get hit with guilt like it's my fault, she can feel that, and I don't have to take that on. But I'm still learning how to use that muscle. So the ooh is a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah. And if nothing else, that we always say the ooh buys you time. You know, we actually have pretty solid research now that an unreactivated emotion can only last a maximum of 19 seconds with humans. It's kind of bizarre. It's not 20 seconds, it's 19 seconds. So unless your emotion is reactivated, you are unable to experience it more than 19 seconds. So, you know, in other words, Chrissy says to you, you know, oh, I felt hurt by what you said. If you're able to be present with her and ooh her and just go, oh, dang, so what happened with that? And we call it following the energy. And you're following her energy, she can't experience this more than 19 seconds. That's crazy. It changed the world in 19 seconds. And who knows what that would do. I believe that we can stop wars. I don't know that we'll stop all wars, but I literally believe that if we could ooh each other for 19 seconds, that things would never escalate. That's insane to me how simple this is, but we watch it all around us happening. We were talking with a business the other day, and I don't remember all the details, but they were about to lose a client, which is like a 6-figure client. And so we just coached the business just in oohing. And they were startled. We had, I don't remember what it was, like a 10 or 15 minute, it was just a Zoom call together, and it changed the whole thing. And so then we're talking to the business people afterwards, and they're just like, what? We just salvaged a 6-figure client in 15 minutes because we soothed him. But Phyllis and I immediately saw that, oh my gosh, you're resisting this client's energy constantly. You're countering, and from a good heart, good intention, but it just doesn't work. And so the client never felt heard. So the client's like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else where I will feel heard. And again, that's one snippet of so many, but that's what happens in relationships all the time.
I think if it's cool, because you brought it up, I would just say one of the first lessons that I got in that was, and I think there's a lot of people that are in relationships that they end up having these interactions where either I or Chris say, like, you know, she's getting ready in the morning and I think she's hot. And so I'm like, you look so good. And I try to pinch her butt. And she's like, I just don't feel good today. Like, so she's got her.
Let's be real. I just feel fat.
I feel like she's
having a fat. Ugly. I feel whatever.
And my intention is like, well, I'll pour on more love so that you will feel loved because, and so I'm like, what has changed in the last Nothing's changed. Here we are, 7 hours later, same house, same marriage. Surely this isn't a problem. And so in my attempt to assure her how beautiful I think she is and that she is in fact sexy and I really do want to make love with her, because I missed the core emotion, it's resisting the energy. So like, if you can speak to that a little bit, I think some people that are they're either dating or they're married or whatever, they're like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't understand. I tried to be kind and it went the other way. Like, what is happening? So talk about resisting energy, because that's a huge tool for people too, if you can speak to that.
Yeah. And if people get that, you know, Tommy, when you do that, it's not from a bad heart. It's actually from a great heart. It's a great intention. It's just a bad application. It sounds sensible. It just doesn't work. And my goal for Chrissy is for her just to say to you, oh, well, I'm really feeling shame. And Tommy goes, oh, what's happening with the shame? I just don't feel good about myself. I feel fat. I just feel unattractive, unsexy, uninteresting. Oh, and there's a little bit of fear in there too, that you're also gonna find me unattractive, and you'll probably leave me here in the next 3 to 6 weeks, I would assume. And so many couples experience that. The husband can resist her, and it can be the other way around too. It can be vice versa. But the partner can resist the energy and go, what? What are you talking about? No, that's not, absolutely not. It doesn't even exist in my universe. And you just made it worse, not better. It sounds so right. But the problem is that the message that the other person's brain receives, the message they process is, number one, you're wrong to experience the emotion you're experiencing. And number two, you're stupid. So what Tommy just did is looked at his bride and said, hey, babe, just want to make sure you know you're wrong and you're stupid. And then Tommy, why didn't that help her? I made it really clear she's wrong and stupid. And Christy did not experience value in that at all. But the point is, Christy's not trying to feel shame. She's not trying to feel fear. She just does. So we have two options. We can tell her to shut the hell up. Chrissy, shut the hell up. We don't want to hear about your shame and your fear. Well, we're not going to connect in that. Or we just be present with her and go, oh, dang. So that's, again, back to the truck. Phyllis isn't trying to feel fear behind the truck. She just does. So I can tell her, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear about it. Stop feeling fear. Or fear. And again, none of us are trying to feel the emotions that we feel. Culturally, we've said that's not true. You need to control your emotions. That's garbage. You're responsible for the next action. You are not responsible for the emotion.
I know we're about to run out of time, but it is huge.
It's not even no, you're wrong. And but keep going.
I was talking to a good friend this morning on the phone while we were hiking, and they had just taken a trip with some friends because those friends, their son had died of cancer. And they were just talking about the level of sadness and the pain, and that this couple, they're older, our age, and they have loved God their whole life, and they prayed fervently for healing for their son, and the healing didn't come. And now they're in this dark place where they're questioning their faith, they're questioning prayer, like they don't even want to pray. And so our friend was telling us all of this, and I said, wow, that's the power of the in times like that, where they just need to be heard. Absolutely. Like they needed y'all just to sit with them. They did not need y'all to give them scripture and verse and try to in any way explain the death of their son. And I think that in relationship, we so often think we have to have advice to give, an answer to give, a scripture to give, a something in response. And that's when people don't feel heard and they feel disregarded. And, it's, to me,
and it's from a good intention.
Yeah,
you can't stress that enough. It's not because you're a bad person and you're mean. Not at all. It's from a good intention.
Yeah. And, it's almost even in painful times, I think we have certain phrases, well, they're in a better place, the angels welcome them into heaven, something. And you're just like, wow, that is in this moment, that's the most painful thing you could say to me.
And it doesn't matter if it's accurate or true or not.
Right. In the moment, the person needs to be heard. And I think about just in our marriage, all the years that Glenn would say to me something like, I am such a failure. And I would spend 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes the whole day trying to say, babe, look at how you've done this well. You've done this well. Yeah. Look at the kids. Look at this, look at that. And I had the proof. I had the long list of proof that he wasn't a failure. Yeah. That meant nothing to him. Right. He was feeling like a failure, and he just needed me to follow that energy, to sit with him in it, and perhaps ask questions like, what's happening for you, babe? And then he would know he could say the next sentence. But often people don't say the next sentence because we've already taken over the conversation. We're already, just like whenever Chrissy says, well, I feel fat, then you are off to prove, but babe, look, you work out every day. You're the most incredible, this, that. You've lost this much weight this year. You look hot in those. well, then she never has a chance to really share what's really going on with her, taking over the conversation with good intention, like you're trying to speak into it in a positive way. And so it's like, wow, we miss it. Out of a good heart, we miss it. And I think that, I think often, like, even with our desire to use scripture or to think that we have to, whatever, make it a teaching moment, it's like, you just missed it. Like they just want you to sit with them, cry with them, and talk with them through grief or through just like saying, "Whoa, I got hit with shame." It's like we want to immediately go, no, you, like, God took that from you, or Jesus took that from you. And instead of just hearing the person's heart. Yeah. And so what I love about the connection code tools that we teach in these webinars is just those practical things. And I think most of the time it is simple. It's not always easy, but it's simple. And you go, I can do that. I can start doing that in my relationships, and I can be that kind of person. And it's very empowering, because the other side is actually exhausting. To always have to have the answer, always have to have the right scripture, always have to have that word of encouragement. And it's like, wow, why don't you just sit and listen to that person? That's what they really.
So this is what I was thinking is, just in this like conversation, what it sounds like, and I would just say this just for anybody that's seeing this or anyone that's going to see it. If in your relationships, you have a really hard time sharing and feeling connected, if in your relationships, you feel like you have to have a reason to feel what you feel, if in your relationships, when someone tells you how they're or if, I don't know, just if for some reason, if you're struggling in feeling connected in yourself and you don't know how to give the gift of your presence to people, that understanding how our brains work, understanding how the people in your life actually connect, this could be radically helpful for just how to human better. Like, that's the thing. But I just want to land here, maybe. Hey, what does this have to do with having a hot sex life, Dr. Glenn?
Wow, but sadly, we really are out of time, Tommy. We didn't
realize we are
that
not even true.
Keep us so long. To another one where we talk about how to have a hot and wonderful sex life.
We'll do part 2. Okay, so what do you guys have coming up to teach the connection codes, to hold space for people, to empower people? Where can we direct people?
You could go to the website, drglennhill.com.
2 N's.
2 N's under the webinar menu, and jump on the one that starts tomorrow night, October 1st at 7 Central time. And it's an hour and a half long. And if you can't get it at that moment, you'll get the recordings, you'll get all the material,
okay,
assignments, all the videos, everything will come to you once you register. And it's only $99 for 4 weeks that teaches all these tools and many more than what we've talked about today.
4 nights. And again, the big push in all of this for us is that people get it.
Yeah.
I'm fairly educated. I got lots of semi-worthless degrees. So I can throw a whole bunch of stuff out there. It's irrelevant. If people don't walk away going, oh, I know what to do next. And we use that phrase a lot. We want people to know what to do next. I don't want Tommy to walk away going, boy, that Glenn, he's just so educated and he's funny and he's fun and he's a nice guy. I don't have a clue what to do with Chrissy, but I was really impressed with his presentation. We haven't accomplished anything.
Right.
Yeah. My is that Tommy knows what to do with Chrissy next, that Chrissy knows what to do with Tommy next, with your children, with your friends, with your neighbors. And that's a really, really significant thing. So because of that, we do what we call experience assignments in the webinars where you're actively engaging. It's just you on your screen. So you're not engaging with people in the webinar, but where you're actually doing this, you're implementing this, because that's our goal, is that you know exactly what to do, how to do it, so that literally it makes a difference an hour after the webinar. It makes a difference at night. It makes a difference the next day. And
that's real.
Drastically can be affected by it.
That's so good. Okay, so it's tomorrow night. I'm going to keep posting about it. If you see this, replay, and you're thinking about it, I'm just telling you, if you spend $100 in 4 weeks, your whole life will be different, and the quality of your relationships are gonna be better. It's better than banging your head against the wall, not knowing how to connect with your partner, not knowing how to talk with your friends or your family or your kids. Just take it from me and Chris. Like, we'll drop $100 and hang out with these guys for 4 weeks, like any day, because it's helpful. It will actually help your life. So look for
really,
the link.
You can't afford not to do it because
Dang.
it is
like, go there. You can't afford not
you
to.
can't, because
You just
it's
can't.
literally thousands of dollars worth of therapy and counseling.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's not one-on-one, but you have access to them through chat and through some of these things, and it is like, I mean, it's just so worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 100% worth it. And
Absolutely.
so definitely jump on this opportunity and then go from there, because most of what the 4 weeks cover, you end up doing in the first how many sessions, right? With Dr. Glenn. So it's just such a fantastic access point.
It's a fantastic deal, guys.
It's phenomenal.
I will say this though, Chrissy and me, before we got married, we put in a bunch of time with these mentors, and they were not yes men to us, and they were not no men to us. They were like counsel. They were like advisors, and they forced us to go to places in our relationship before we got married that we're still getting mileage out of. And so even if you're just dating, but you're pretty serious, or you're engaged, or your first or second year marriage, and it's like whatever, put in the mileage on something like this. It will reap benefits like years down the road.
Maybe you just have a bunch of relationships that maybe you're just feeling lonely, right? And you can't figure it out, or like you have a bunch of relationships where you just feel bummed every time you encounter people or your family, and you don't know how to actually get past some of the political issues or whatever, right?
Shoot.
It's like, learn how to connect on a brain wave like realm, as opposed, right? Like bypassing some of the
it's science, guys.
I don't know how many of you sit with like other people where you're like, I'm terrified because I'm 6 feet away, and I don't want to have a political conversation because I don't know where everybody's going to end up angry and yelling at each other. And it's like, how powerful is it just to sit and go like, wow, what's happening there, right? What are you really passionate, like what's not working that is like all this anger is coming from, right? Just so awesome.
Anyways, so we like it. Thank you, guys. We will be directing people to you. I don't know. What else do you need? Anything else? What else can we do?
Love you guys so much.
You too.
We'll jump on again sometime and talk about the other stuff.
Yeah, we're talking about sex, guys. When she says the other stuff, that's what we're talking about.
There's some ladies' nights coming up.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
So.
And we'll have to do that soon. Okay. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for taking time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Hey, you guys. Tommy Green here. Just want to say thank you again for listening to this episode of the Rev Talks podcast. Our hope with each and every episode is that it would encourage you, maybe give you a reason to have a laugh, expand your capacity on the inside to love and empathy, appreciation, hopefully make your world just a little bit bigger, and give you faith, hope for the future. If you like what you heard, again, please share, subscribe, give us a good rating, give us some good feedback. Over all of this, thank you so much for taking us with you in a small part of your day, on the drive, on the run, just as you're going about your day. Thank you so much for sharing some time of your life with us on this podcast. To connect with us, you can email us again at theREVgatherings.com, and we will see you on the next episode. Love you guys. Bye.